Hello, Mr. Milind. Your screen seems to be frozen. Yeah, let's wait till Mr. Milind is reconnecting. There seems to be some problem with the screen. चालू है?
हाँ
ओके ठीक.
नाही तर ते असंच बोलत.
यहाँ पता ही नहीं चला अपनी बात. Hello, am I audible? Hello. Yeah, I'm sorry for this glitch. Actually, I lost the internet connection suddenly. So basically, I was answering the query that why is that my passion is further going up and up for energy saving and energy efficiency, precisely because simply because the number of energy saving technologies they have gone up, and in every field, be it refrigeration, air conditioning, be it motors, be it blowers, be it boilers, be it renewable energy opportunities, right? So everything has gone up. I mean, there are so many ways you can implement energy saving projects. And on the contrary, the cost of energy, I mean, the procurement of or the electrical cost for the tariff, that is what is going up. So opportunity to do energy saving project is very high. And what is so interesting with energy efficiency is that most of the projects have a payback period of 2 years or less than 2 years, whereas the renewable energy payback is still 3.5 to 4 years. So obviously, energy efficiency is the first step to reduce the energy cost. Thank you. Very interesting question. Basically, what happens is whenever you try to do any energy saving project, what happens is the industries or the commercial buildings, they are also quite aware of various energy saving opportunities and um, various energy saving technologies. So obviously, what happens is when you recommend something new, that is different from what they have in mind, right? So first challenge is in terms of convincing the customers, right? Obviously, the first thing is that we, as an energy auditor or as an ESCO or as an agency who is turnkey implementation, we should be first of all convinced with our project, and we should be able to deliver the savings, not only calculations or not only submitting the report, but actually implementing the project on a turnkey basis and delivering the end result. So we have to have our own conviction first. So when we have our own conviction in terms of delivering the savings, not just calculation to identify the energy saving potential, then the next job becomes is how do you convince the end customer, right? And in convincing end customer also there are layers, right? Maybe at a manager level, then at a general manager level, and maybe sometimes finance, and maybe sometimes purchase. So it's all put together a really very interesting challenge, right? And come what may, does not matter what level of technological support you provide in terms of calculations or in terms of justification, right? But what really works the best is to give a reference where we have done the job, right? And they have achieved the savings, right? So those kind of references actually helps in terms of convincing the customer, right, to do it. But every customer is quite different. Every project is also quite different. So there cannot be a straightforward method or a straightforward technique to overcome the challenges for energy efficiency. Then another challenge also comes in terms of a brand. Like for example, if you are doing a i5 energy efficiency motor project, then why a particular brand of motor you are supplying, right? Honestly speaking, all brands are similar in terms of their efficiency level. That is why they are having a i5 level of certification. So that kind of challenge is also quite high many times, right? Because every customer is having a specific choice of a particular brand. But end of the day, customers also need energy savings. So they also want to solve the challenges, right? But one has to be also very, very patient in terms of convincing, right? It never happens that in one discussion or two discussion, a customer gets convinced. And even if they get convinced, the another challenge that comes up is how will you implement at our side? Our side does not have much of a shutdown time. Our side, the access is very difficult. How will your equipment come in, right? Here, access of crane is not there. So how are you going to manually handle it? So, I mean, many of these things even we don't think of as a problem to implement that project. But every time in every discussion, you go one step ahead, right? And you try to do that. And obviously, when you see the list of challenges, they seem to be so much, right, that sometimes we feel that it's really difficult to implement. But if we are passionate, if we systematically go one by one and clear one by one point, it definitely gets solved. Yeah, I would say that.
Yeah, nice. And now coming from the industry perspective, why do you believe that energy efficiency is crucial for industries in India? And what are the benefits it can bring to energy professionals or say energy managers and companies in specific?
Basically, what happens is the cost of production is going up, the competition is going up, the tariff and the cost of energy is also going up, right? So nowadays, the cost of energy is significantly affecting the profit margins. This is one point. Another point is that see, any business is basically an ROI, right? So we need to also look at energy efficiency as a business, wherein there is certain investment and there is certain ROI on that investment. And the language of this can be exactly same as of any other business, right? So when we look at the ROI and when we try in absolute finance language for any energy saving project, then that creates a phenomenally different impact, right? And then we may say that the company's strategy to do investment, right? Let us compare the ROI, right? And the kind and the size of investment that energy efficiency projects require. These require comparatively much lower size of investment, but whereas the ROI is significantly higher. Of course, whatever is the saving potential, it is going to be that much only. It cannot be way too high than that, right? But the ROI becomes the major differentiator here.
Okay, so ROI is the major differentiation, and and do you think, I mean, there is some contribution of energy efficiency in India's sustainable development goals and reducing carbon footprint, and like to what extent?
Definitely, it's very high, right? In fact, now after the Bureau of Energy Efficiency has formed up, there are certified energy managers, and they are necessary to be employed in designated consumers. Then certified auditors are also there, and then accredited auditors are also there, and then there is a whole set of regulatory requirement which most of the audience is also quite aware of, right? But looking at the overall economy, looking at the overall solving the problem of global warming, right? Energy efficiency definitely plays a very significant role, right? And the opportunity for energy professionals, or even those who are in the engineering department, they have very specific key areas for implementing energy saving project, right? So today, energy saving has also become a very good opportunity for a career progress, right? Those who are able to do energy saving projects in a more systematic way and able to deliver. I have seen in my 3 decades over it that people have been able to pursue their career much better as compared to the others, right? If all aspects being same, right? Definitely the energy saving projects implemented by engineering or process professionals is taken in a much better way in terms of their own career progression. Obviously, as a country, we are a fast developing country. Our energy requirement is very high for the kind of GDP growth which we are looking at, and that much of energy demand, if it is getting fulfilled in an inefficient way, then those gigawatts further goes up and up only, right? So energy efficiency is absolutely an imperative, right? Today for all of us from every aspect. And the opportunities are also way too high, right?
Yeah. So if you are an energy manager in the company, so definitely some projects coming out of you, or you engaging someone and delivering the results, so makes a lot of contribution in your own KRAs, and I mean it may contribute to your KRA also.
Absolutely.
So can you share some success stories or case studies of industries that you have implemented, where you have implemented energy efficient solutions and achieved significant benefits out of it?
Definitely. Let me begin in 2008 or 7, when Bureau of Energy Efficiency started accrediting ESCOs. So that time we had also felt that just mere conducting energy audit is not sufficient. Of course, we get paid for energy audits, right? And just doing an energy audit, a professional study, right, is comparatively having much lower challenges than actual project implementation. But the real happiness which I got, or this company got, is by implementation of energy saving projects. So in 2012, we got an opportunity at, I remember the place, one of the very reputed hotel in Pune, right? That chain. So we carried out energy audit, and then when we went to meet the general manager, he said that look, Milind, this is going to be the 4th report, right? For the energy audit, right? So I said, precisely, that's what I do not want. Why not implement, right? So are those 3 energy audits reports which are implemented before, are the recommendations not implementable? So he said, no, these are all implementable, or many of them are implementable, and we would get some results also. But then he asked, I asked him that why is that they have been implemented? Is it that the capital is not there with the company? No way, capital is there. But the fundamental conviction that so much of savings will be there and so much of ROI is there, right? So that there was a clear lack of somebody who is going to take that stand that yes, by taking this much of investment, I take the responsibility that I will deliver this ROI. Of course, now the situation is completely different. I'm referring to a situation almost 15 years back, that is even before 2010, right? So then we said that, okay, fine, we will implement and we will invest, and that's how our energy performance contracting, wherein we started investing into energy saving projects, that started, right? And in energy audit report, we had identified that overall energy cost will be reduced by 20%, and of course, it took complete 1 year to implement the projects. But then finally, when we compared the energy cost as compared to the baseline, the energy saving was over 20%. So that was the point in which in my career my satisfaction level went up phenomenally, right? And I also realized that AE's examination of certified measurement and professional, that is CMVP, right? That makes another impact in terms of, because when you calculate actual energy savings, so your occupancy can be different, your production levels can be different, your seasons can be different, right? So it's not just the delivery of the savings is important, but how much is the saving? Because saving is there, everybody agrees, right? But how much is the saving? Then the disagreement starts. So those CMVP qualification actually taught us the 4 methods of quantification of energy savings, and then we have to educate customer also, like these are the methods, right? And which method you would like to go ahead with it, and that method has to be pre-decided. It's not that after the implementation of the energy saving project we can even afford to choose the method, right? Because the rules of the game has to be clear to everyone, the OEM, the customer, the ASCO which is implementing the project, right? And also another thing happens is the cumulative impact of one project on another project. Like for example, at that time LED implementation had just begun, right? So by implementing LED project, so much of heat load on the air conditioning system that got reduced, right? And practically by calculations, it's very difficult to do that, right? But in terms of actual impact, so that was also quite high. Yeah, and we implemented heat pump project for hot water, right? But that heat pump also generated some tons of refrigeration. So that refrigeration actually reduced the load on the chiller. So then what happens is chiller load reduced, and when chiller operated at part load, right, then the chiller performance has further improved. So now what you see that a single project with a single saving calculation, right, has now turned out in terms of 4 different variables, right, occurring on it, right? And when you have 4 variables, it's impossible to do it by a calculation method, by a formula-based calculation method, right? So you need to actually work more on your gut, I would say, on your experience, what you say, that impact of heat load reduction because of the LED will be so much, impact of PR generation on chiller load reduction will be so much, and then because the chiller load has reduced, that is why the COP of the chiller will go up so much. So it actually becomes a complex thing, right, which goes way beyond calculation. I'm not saying that the calculations are not important, but calculation serves almost, I mean, doesn't matter what not level of calculations you do, but these calculations will serve you maximum up to 50%. And end of the day, because of the facility being a hotel and 365 days, 24 hours operation and similar kind of operation, the only variable was the banquet and occupancy, right? For that, we need to also go ahead with the statistical methods. And these statistical methods go way beyond our own competency or our own understanding of energy efficiency, because there we definitely do a lot more things and a lot more qualifications. But then you have to take care of those things also, right? So here my fundamental interest into fundamental research, basic research, I would say, that helped us. And then we made all the calculation methods transparent to the customer, and it was a whole facility method, which is C, option C in AE books of 4 methods. We applied actually option C, so everybody was happy that what will be the impact on the overall electricity bill, right? So that when that challenge got satisfied in 2013, then we said that let us take the profession to this, right? Let us not stop just by doing audits. Let us take the projects towards implementation, and then we implemented it in 15 facilities across country, and almost similar results happened. Of course, out of 6-7 project in 3-4 facilities, one of the project got failed. And then you really surprised that that particular project has worked perfectly at 10 places. Why is that it is failing at 11? So some site-specific issues, right, are there, which are very, very difficult for one to comprehend, for one to understand, right? And they will get missed out. They will also get missed out, right? But at the same time, we have urged or convinced our customers also that it will happen, right? But for failure of one project, you won't implement, or you would tag the agency that, or the auditor that it is good or bad, right? It doesn't work out like that, right? So it is always a combination of the project, and then you need to see in a holistic way, like what is happening, right? And out of your 6 to 8 project, right, are you able to get that 20% reduction in your overall energy cost? I'm taking these numbers with the reference of 2010, right? So when that happens, then yes, the overall results are acceptable. But then I would like to take some of the example from manufacturing facilities also. The setup in a manufacturing facility is quite different, right? It is not operating 365 days, 24. The load variation or the production load variation is way too high, right? Because seasonal impact on the production in many of the industries is beyond prediction. And then year on year also, there is no similar trend, right? So the method with which you go ahead improving the efficiency in a commercial building, and the method you adopt for the same project, same heat pump you take or same chiller project you take, right? Because the chiller is being used not for the air conditioning or comfort air conditioning purpose, it is used for a process purpose. So your method becomes different. But then you do any energy saving project in CMVP, it fits in any of the one of the project, one of the method, right? So it is always better to pre-decide that along that and this kind of thinking, that how do you quantify the savings, impact of weather, impact of production, impact of product mix, right? So these variables keep on going way too high, right? Or simplest, you would go by kilowatt comparison, or kWh by kWh comparison, right? So this becomes altogether different game for manufacturing industry. And in manufacturing industry also, if it is a continuous process industry or a batch production based industry, there also it goes quite different. So we need to take every case by case, figure out the issues involved, figure out the challenges involved, right? And pursue it. So it becomes interesting, right? That's what and then what happens is some of the project customers have also taken themselves, right? So then the savings because of that project and savings because of this project, that also becomes a debatable issue. But whosoever is positive, they want more savings, right? So some or the other method gets evolved to quantify the savings, right? So it's very interesting. I mean, and the more work I do, more interest I'm finding in it.
Yeah. So do some of the clients insist on seeing the result on the electricity bills, and does that happen? In which case it is possible and where it is not?
Very good question. See, if you see a smaller facility, right? Like for example, again, I would say a hotel or a hospital, right? A very small facility, right? And they are having, let's say, again, I'll take an example of heat pump, right? They are having a boiler or they are having a laundry facility. So on the fuel bill, you can clearly see from a single project, you can see the impact, right? But if you do a chiller performance improvement project, right, then you try to demonstrate that saving on an overall bill, that becomes impossible. But what is happening these days is the energy data monitoring has become reasonably very good in many of the industries, right? They have the whole chiller room energy consumption data, right? And then that is referred as a overall holistic data, right? And that is believable and that is reasonably correct also, right? So you do any energy saving project on a chiller, and then you try to see the impact on the chiller room data, chiller room energy consumption data. So we try to convince customers that you have this data, right? Allow us to see that whether this is okay or not for us. And when we are convinced with that data, then we tell customers that fine, we will demonstrate you result on this, right? And we will also support it before and after basically chiller case. So obviously the first step is at equipment level only, right? That is what the first step is. And the second step is that let us take it at the like for example a compressed air project at a compressed air overall energy consumption level. Let us take a chiller project on a chiller room total consumption level, boiler project at a boiler energy consumption level, even if it is the electricity consumption at a boiler level, right? We can demonstrate that kWh reduction in the per ton of steam generation. It is demonstrable, but it is not possible to do a boiler project, electrical energy saving project, and then demonstrate it on the whole electricity bill. Right? Some of the customers do demand that, but that is impossible. But here the role of energy managers has really become important. They know that what is possible and what is not possible. So and that is the precise reason. It's not that the SMEs do not have energy saving potential, but there, since the qualified people not being there, the expectations of the SME owners is very, very different. And I don't say that they are wrong, but because of that kind of demand, that will I be able to see, because that's the purpose I'm doing this project. But if I don't see any reduction in my electricity bill, then I feel that my investment has gone. And but whereas when they put solar, I have seen so many cases wherein solar was put and the reduction in the electricity bill was not there, right? But the electricity bill was showing that this much of kWh is generated, right? And if this would not have been generated, then the electricity bill would have been further higher. So while energy efficiency is a difference of two numbers, but these two numbers do not get automatically generated like case of solar. In solar, how much is the total energy generated by solar, right? That is very clearly and automatically generated. So that's the challenge is there with the energy efficiency. But if a customer is really seriously looking for, so then they do hear out to various energy saving professionals and their offers. And I would strongly suggest everyone that how are you going to demonstrate whether the savings are there or not must be a part of their proposals. And irrespective of any project, right? You may do 3 projects, 4 projects on a chiller, right? But how we are going to calculate the energy saving, right? That is even more important, and that has to be fixed in advance. I would say that.
Great. So now, with you, since you have worked with so many industries, so what are the industries wherein energy efficiency improvement can contribute significantly? Which type of industries?
See, honestly, speaking, every industry today has a very, very high potential, right? Because you take off any utility, let me put this with any utility, be it compressed air, be it chiller, be it water pumping, be it boiler, be it hot water generator, right? So these are the common utilities which are there in every industry, right? And each of these utilities would be having a saving potential right from at least minimum 8% to as high as 30%, right? And so this automatically means that this saving potential gets to all. Now, whenever I'm making any comment on a percentage, right, I'm definitely not talking about the primary industry, right? Like, for example, that there is a power plant, right? I'm not going to say that there is a saving potential of 8% to 30%. No. I'm all talking about the secondary or the tertiary plant, right? In primary industry, wherein you are taking any ore, right, and trying to deliver any product, right, like for example a metal refinery, right, or oil refinery or a power plant, right? Here of course here also there are a very good saving potential from so many technologies, right? But here we cannot make a comment like in terms of overall percentage of energy saving. But leaving this primary industry, right, most of the other industries that there is so high potential. I see the plastic industry had started 1950 only, so it is the youngest industry I see, right? And but the understanding level of energy efficiency specifically in plastic, because most of these industries are medium and small size industry. Plastic industry as such does not exist in large scale industry. So here I see that there is a huge gap in terms of understanding of different opportunities, and the plastic industry has remained within the plastic domain, right? The cross industry transfer of people or technology, that has not happened, right? On the other side, if we see dairy, right? So dairy, how the energy saving projects are there, it is very conventional, it is very much fixed, right? But despite having a great list of energy saving project, we work for a customer. I'll share that case. So here what happened was for that they had a dairy, right? And basically they were receiving milk and they were pasteurizing it and then they were sending it. So they put up a powder plant. milk powder plant. Now, milk powder requires a high pressure steam, that is around 17.5 kg. So then they put up a boiler, and then what they decided that there is no point in putting using 2-3 boilers, right? So they put a one large capacity boiler. Now, when one large capacity boiler was put, obviously the boiler will generate steam at one particular pressure, not at multiple pressures. So 21 kg boiler was used, right? Now that there was a PRV which was reducing the pressure to 17.5 for that milk powder application, and then there was another PRV which was putting up steam from this 21 kg to 10 kg so that it can be given to the plant, like the previous case when the milk powder plant was not there, right? Now, what happens is whenever there are such major changes, automatically there is an opportunity to put a back pressure turbine, right? So instead of PRV, you put that back pressure turbine. So whenever industry goes, what I'm not trying to explain this as a case study. What I'm trying to say that whenever you do any major changes in the plant, right, the energy efficiency aspect is missed out, right? And if you evaluate that energy saving, anyway, it will get evaluated in some time later, right? Whenever you are carrying out any energy audit, the auditor will identify, or your own team will identify that yes, now we have this opportunity. So these kind of opportunities should be thought at the time of expansion level itself,
Yeah.
or at the time of whenever you are making such kind of a major change, right? So that those many days or those many years of energy savings you don't miss out, right? And the cost of including that particular project as compared to the overall expansion is absolutely nothing, right? Because whatever total investment is done in any energy saving project is way too lesser than the investment has been already made in the process equipments.
Correct.
With the energy efficiency is actually the proving of the savings,
Yeah.
or actually getting the savings. Not that companies have money, right? It's not that they don't have money, right? And particularly now with the kind of GDP growth which is happening in the country, the availability of money is not a problem. Banks are also there to give money for energy saving project. The issue is to take that call that yes, I will demonstrate that there is savings. Like I will share another case of delivering energy saving through I5 efficiency motors. So some of the customers have asked us that what if there are no savings or there are less savings than this, right? Because the nameplate efficiency difference of IE2 or IE5 is way too less, whereas you are saying that you'll get 20% savings, right? Whereas the nameplate efficiency is hardly 4%. So where from this 20% will come in, right? So there what we do in such cases is, and specifically with case of motors, it is possible also. What we do is that we provide a guaranteed savings, right? The load moves at the same RPM as the old motor. So I5 efficiencies case is also the load is operated exactly at the same RPM, right? And then before energy consumption and after energy consumption, that is what we demonstrate, right? Because some kind of a guaranteed delivery of the savings has to happen. But this kind of a model cannot be done with other projects, right? But what happens is when you start a project, a small project with a smaller investment, right, the confidence of the customer goes up. Your understanding of the plant also goes up because you are investing so much of time in that facility, right? So in my opinion, to everybody, whether they are consumer of electricity or whether they are in the business of providing energy efficiency, either services or projects or anything, start small. Demonstrate the savings to the customers. Let them see that. Right, and then the belief occurs, and then you may always say that these kind of guarantees I can't give you on the bigger motors, not possible, right? Or on the other energy saving project, but that kind of saving customer has seen, finance department of the customer has also seen, right? Then the believability goes up, right, and the relationship goes up, and there's no dearth of energy saving technologies. There is no limitation of energy saving technologies. They are way too high, right? So start small, right? Handle few customers, right? Handle few technologies, right? But deliver results. So I would say that is a better way to actually create an impact. Yeah.
So that shows the commitment for energy efficiency. So can you list some of the processes where industries should focus for energy efficiency optimization?
See, it's a very broad question. It's very, very difficult to answer this, right? But I can say so some of the cases, let me put it, right? Instead of industry, I'll put some of the cases, right? Now, there are many industries which are not at all using hot well and cold well for their process cooling requirement, right? For example, if you take commercial building, right, you won't find hot well and cold well in hospitals, malls, hotels, right? Anywhere you will not find it, right? It's the same 7 degrees centigrade water which is coming out of the chiller, and after providing chilled water to various AHUs, it is coming back at 12 degrees, right? But if you see plastic industry, again, I will say that, right? And many other industries, right? You'll find that there is a hot well, cold well concept, right? In a hot well, cold well concept, so much of heat ingress is there that your chilled water, by the time it reaches to the back to the chiller, right, the heat gain, right, in terms of supplying the water to the application and taking back the water from the application, that load was more than 50% than the process load, right? So when we found these kind of cases and these kind of opportunities, but this requires a major shift, because what happens is the chill water circulation in a process is more difficult than in a typical commercial or comfort cooling kind of cases. So here what happens is because of the gravity, because your hot well and cold well will remain below the ground, right, below the ground level. So your water circulation is not a challenge, right? And these industries have not been designed, right? Like if you see a proper process industry, there will be a designer for the process itself, and then it will be. Whereas there are some kind of industries which are simply purchasing machines, and if you have those many machines, you have a factory. Now, how do you install that? How do you provide chilled water to that? How do you take back the chilled water? There are absolutely no designs, right? So those kind of things specifically goes to these kind of challenges, right? Now, these kind of an opportunities, right? I would also say that another opportunity is with the high temperature heat pump, right? Like from 75 degrees centigrade to let's say up to 92 degrees centigrade applications, right? The heat pump projects are very much possible. This is there in the degreasing line or the 7-tank process or a 5-tank process in any engineering industry, right? This has a great potential, right? Then wherever you are using steam for generating hot water, right? That is a criminal waste, right? So there for generating hot water, you can clearly have steam, right? And then you generate steam as much as you require for steam purpose only, and not for hot water, right? So like this, there are several checks and balances. The industrial blowers, right, like pumps, we see lots of projects already carried out in pump. But what is the difference in a pump or a blower? The blower is the same centrifugal blower, the same principles of Bernoulli's equation or pumping equations, the blowers are also following. But what is the level of projects which have been carried out on blowers, right? I see very less. In commercial buildings, yes, some level of implementation of removing those bell-driven motors and bell-driven blowers, right? But in case of industry, right, it is just not there. But whereas we see lots of pumping projects, so the same level of opportunity is there in the centrifugal bell-driven blowers, right? To do the energy saving, and this savings can be as high as 22, as high as 35%, right? And payback period can be just 1.5 years. So these kind of technologies can really make a big impact. So as far as industry is concerned, I would say all of the industries have equal opportunities. Again, I am not saying the primary industry. I'm saying about the secondary industry, which is where the numbers of the industries are way too high, right? It's very high, right? And primary industry is basically a process industry, and in process industry you get challenges in terms of shutdown time available. There are so many cases, right? But the moment you come to batch industry, right, or medium-sized industry, right, that's the segment wherein so much of impact can be created by doing energy efficiency projects.
Okay. So, like you were talking about so many technologies. As CTech Solutions, are there some specific technologies that you focus on, or I mean, you're open for all?
See, as an energy auditor, we used to be open for all, right? But when you are implementing energy saving projects, right, when you are trying to scale up implementation of certain technologies, right, it's not possible to actually choose all the technologies, right? So I would say that we have not yet started saying absolutely no to some of the technology, but definitely we have started prioritizing the technologies for implementation, right? So some of the technologies like energy saving through super efficient blowers, energy saving through Wi-Fi motors, industrial energy savings through heat pump, energy savings through process pumps, right? Um, then changing some of the heating loads, right, to a cheaper cost of heating, right? Here any combination is possible. Then some of the waste heat recovery project. So some of the projects we implement ourselves on a turnkey basis, and some of the project we work with the OEM, right, and we work as a consultant for the customers, right? But we take up the project to the implementation. It's not possible to handle more than I would say 5 to 7 technologies, right, to do really justice with implementation. But all other cases we can still be involved with the customer. We can still be responsible for delivering the end result. But there we can work as a consultant. The main point is not that how many technologies with which any energy saving company is working with. The main challenge is that how much of impact you are able to create, right? So you can always take help of OEM to implement certain technologies. For example, putting up a turbine, right, which is a back pressure turbine, right? Honestly, there is no way CTEC can implement that project, but CTEC can very well work with the various OEMs, select a particular turbine, right? Size that particular turbine, stand with the client with the end result, right? So those kind of delivery. So end of the day, customer, what is important for a customer is to get the project implemented and get the savings.
Now, my final question is what will be your advice or recommendations for industry managers who are considering for implementing energy efficient solutions and gain profits out of it?
Sure. First of all, I would suggest them to get the data ready, right? Because whosoever wants to do any energy saving project, you talk to anyone, right? Because let's say you want to save energy in a compressed air, or you want to save energy in a pump or in a heating process, right? What you need to do is to create a basic data, right? Like what is that particular equipment, what is that particular process, how much is the daily consumption, how much is the maximum energy consumption, and all that data you have, right? Now, what happens is once you have this data, right, then with whichever agency you are working with, right, you will be able to first of all, collection of this kind of data will make your own understanding stronger. That which is the place where you should go for energy saving opportunities. Because if the energy consumption is way too high, right, on a particular equipment, so there even if you are able to save some 5 to 6% energy also, so that can be much bigger impact than saving a 30% energy on a case wherein the actual impact is very less. Because which project you are choosing, right, that gets limited to your department only. At the company level or at the finance level or at a difference creator level, what is the size of money, right, or GHG emission, that is what you have said, right? So what is the quantum that you are creating? So that is the reason I suggest and actually urge all the industry people to get that basic data ready, right, of all the energy consuming equipment, of all the processes, right, and it should be so handy that you should know that, right, by heart. You should be able to say that this is my process, this is the energy consumption, this is the total kilowatt of load installed, right? So you get a very strong grip, right? And then you are able to very quickly share this data whenever you are working with any energy saving company or any OEM, right, or any turnkey implementer, right? You are able to save this data very clearly, right? Share this data very clearly, and then what happens is it's possible for them to get back with the proposal. Now, many of the cases, what happens is companies ask that we should reach out to the plant to take the data. It's not that we are not doing; we are all going, right? But obviously, who has sent the data, right? They automatically get the priority in terms of proposal submission. Right, and companies also understand that this particular industry has a better understanding of what's going on in their own industry, right? So making the data explicitly available is my first thing, and then take the advantage of Bureau of Energy Efficiency publications. So much of case studies is available on the internet, so that you build your own understanding of what all the opportunities are there. So the moment you have some kind of a conviction that so much of opportunity is there, obviously that will drive you to take the project ahead towards implementation, right? And then it's a ocean, right? The number of opportunities are way too high that you can implement those projects, right? And once you implement the project, obviously the kind of budget you get from the company, right, that also starts going up. So you may start small, right, but be very sure of delivering the end result, right? Publish that end result very clearly within your company, that this is what has happened, this is what was there, and then along with that also give a list of at least 3 more projects, right? Every time you create one success story, right, never limit yourself to that, then say that these are the 3 more projects we are working on, right? So like that, it's a very continuous process, and when you start doing that, you also start enjoying that whole set of activities. And end of the day, with every project, the competence or the skill with which the industry persons are gaining with every project, right, that is way too high than the external agencies which are working on. I would say that.
Great. So I think we have covered from all the perspectives of energy efficiency, and I hope the attendees got a feel of importance of energy efficiency and a way forward for implementation of these projects. And so now we are open for the questions that you may have. So let me check. Already a lot of questions are there in the chat box. So let me go through that one by one, and Mr. Milind will answer those questions. So Mr. Chandrasekhar Punia Kotti is asking, can you throw some light on the difference with energy conservation versus energy efficiency?
See, this is a very age-old question, and which have been asked years and years. And in fact, when we were students at NPC, National Property Council, we asked the same questions to our professors over there. See, what energy efficiency is a technical terminology. There is a formula available for energy efficiency, which you typically say that it is output divided by input, right? Okay, but energy conservation doesn't have a formula, right? So energy conservation is a terminology, or is the name of the subject, right, wherein you carry out so many energy saving projects, right? Then there is another word called as energy management, right? But end of the day, these all terms are made to drive the purpose of it. The purpose of energy conservation or energy efficiency is all similar. Then again, energy efficiency in terms of output upon input, we cannot apply to chiller, because there we call it as a COP, right? So let us get to the practical purpose of these terms, and let us deliver the end results. Okay. Second question.
Yeah. So it is from Mr. Biswajit Nath. So besides replacement of motor I1 to I5, what else opportunities to save energy?
I discussed many
have been described earlier in the session. So
no, let me just repeat that also. I won't take much time, right? See, basically, what happens is motors are driver, right? And they become more important because they would be consuming more than, or they would be at least transferring, if I not say consuming, they would be transferring at least 80 to 85% of the electricity, right? In the plant where there are no furnaces, right? But the numbers are not at all limited, right? The energy efficient pump, the energy efficient blowers, the heat pump, right? So number of energy saving technologies are as high as number of medicines which are available on a medical shop. I would say that, right? That there is absolutely no dearth of technologies, right? And then the moment you get into the pumps or blowers, there are so many types and so many types of blowers or so many types of pumps, right? It again becomes very interesting to handle them, right? Then one simple approach which has come because of the high torque available in the motors, that people are now replacing the belt, right, with direct mount motors, right? So that itself also becomes another opportunity for energy saving project, right? So what you see, you get savings, right? Saving from insulation, right, in thermal, right? Providing wherever you have PRV, you put a steam generation unit, right? Back pressure turbine, right? So that also becomes. So number of technologies, absolutely unlimited. Yeah, next one we can take.
Yeah. So next, The question is, you highlighted the need to consider energy saving projects at expansion project plants, example, in case of chiller and milk powder plant. So what is your opinion on how to go ahead with taking up these kinds of projects in context of energy transition, specifically the chargers and electrolyzers performance? So again, he has given the complete context.
Sure.
With a big push on e-mobility, battery charging, swapping stations would be an emerging area of high energy consumption. Second area, new investments in these. Yeah.
Yeah. See, as I said that whenever you are doing any major change, right, whether it is expansion or change of a major equipment, right, you must consider energy efficiency as a prime criteria for selecting the equipment which you are going to use, right? Like for example, I'm not a person from mobility, right, but I have seen one project very closely in terms of UPS, right? Basically, you are doing the charging of the batteries in a UPS, right? And the earlier UPS was having an efficiency of 85%, and the new UPS was having an energy efficiency of a 93%. Right, customer engaged us to do the measurement and do the actual saving potential by doing the measurement before and after the project. So it was a very interesting project. I told them that I'm not basically a person from, or we are not a company from a UPS background or from a battery background. Well, no, what you have to do is a measurement job, right? Like before and after, right? So we did that. So what I would suggest in your case also, like whenever you are doing e-mobility cases or e-mobility projects, right, definitely your selection of the equipment, of course the capital cost goes up, but whenever you are using a high efficiency equipment, it will definitely be costing you more. But if you calculate what is the what is the payback period for the additional investment, right, and when you do that, so that will help you to take a better decision, your customers also to take a better decision, right, in terms of efficiency. But this logic I have seen in UPS, right, because like in data centers or many of the industrial processes wherein they have UPS up to 2 MW, right, there the efficiency of battery charging facility really gives a big difference.
Okay. I hope that answers your question, Mr. Sanjeev. And now the next question is from Ajay Bharat Arora. So how much layout of the building optimization in a process plant can contribute to energy saving or in existing building by re-engineering?
It is definitely having a good opportunity because if your existing building is having very high heat gain, right, the kind of glasses you have used, the kind of orientation you have provided, right, the kind of space you have provided. So there can't be a specific number to it, but I can say that the worst designed building and the best designed building, the heat load difference can be as high as 30%. That is definitely possible. Yeah, the next point.
Yeah. So now I think Mr. Gandhe wants to put up his question and he can do that. I mean, Mr. Gandhi, you are allowed to talk. You may put up your question.
Yeah, sure. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, you are.
You are audible.
First of all, let me congratulate you for arranging a very novel session today by starting interviews of successful energy professionals. So the first episode with Milind was very enjoyable. It was also
Thank
very
you.
informative. And of course, I know Milind for many years, I think almost 2 decades, ever since he started career in energy efficiency. I know him. Of course, I congratulate him, and I also for the success that he has achieved and his company has achieved. So he has personally done many things, as well as the company CTech Solutions has done exceedingly well in this situation. Of course, there are many things which one could talk about it, but let me come to some specific uh, observations. I would say I'm not going to ask any questions because I don't think it is right to ask a question to him, but his observations of the thing. Okay, he has been successful in audits as a company also in India as well abroad. So the first question, first thing that I would like to know from him is what is his experience of audits, energy audits and energy efficiency programs in other countries? Because I believe you had a number of audits in other countries like Sri Lanka and other things. So what is your experience, which you can share with the audience?
Basically, as far as the level of energy efficiency understanding is concerned in general, so that is similar in Asian countries. I would say some of the Indian companies are in fact better off, right? The opportunities are similar because what happens is the weather conditions, the situations in which your cooling tower or chiller operates, the energy saving technologies are also quite similar, right?
Yeah.
And these opportunities are definitely, I mean, I would say equally available in all the Asian countries. I see that in Middle East there is a very fast rise in terms of energy saving activities happening, right? So lots of energy audits are happening, but it all started a bit late, so that's why it is very fast. But in terms of implementation speed, right, that is equally slow everywhere, right? So but I would definitely say I have not worked much for Europe or in US, hardly 1 or 2 cases only, right? But there, what happens is initiative is taken, so the implementation is somehow it is seen that it would happen. So the unknowns are way too lesser, right? I would say in those kind of situations. But then finally, like it's impossible for energy professionals, right, or businesses to focus on so many countries. The size of opportunity which is available in India, right, because we cannot work in China, right? It's very difficult to work as a service provider or as a turnkey project implementer in China. But if we see the level of opportunity that is we have in India, right, whether we start from Middle East and go way towards Philippines, right, all other countries are even not up to 15% of the kind of opportunities we have in India, right? So that's why we decided that instead going to some of the countries outside, we focused on India only.
Okay, but do you see that these are economically, that means whether it is profitable to undertake
No,
projects
no,
abroad?
no. Because what
Okay.
happens, you need a very strong local support, right? So I
Okay.
would suggest all the companies to have, first of all, that local representative built in, right? Without having a local representative, it's absolutely wrong to take any turnkey implementation. You can take up audits because it's a service, you're
Yeah.
there, you're completing it, you're coming back, but there is absolutely no way you'll be able to implement a project on a turnkey basis if you do not have a local representative. So that is of absolute necessity. Right.
The second thing is that the new trend is now, I'm sure you have worked on PAT scheme, okay, for a number of PAT projects. I think steel, power, cement, etc. But there is now going to be a change from this year, especially steel and power, where they're going to, the parameter is not going to be energy efficiency, but parameter is going to be GHG emission reduction, intensity reduction. What is your take on that?
See, end of the day, though India is working on energy efficiency, but India has to also work on GHG emission reduction because those kind of commitments have been made global, right? So obviously, the way to get the GHG emission reduction is energy efficiency. So that's why the language is getting transferred to that, right? Now what happens is if the GHG emissions targets are taken, then basically this green energy, the green hydrogen, right, those kind of projects wherein the ROI is higher, right, but the impact in terms of GHG emission reduction is way too higher, right? So there what happens is the GHG emission kind of a terminology makes much more holistic sense. But GHG emission terminology can only be done with designated consumers. It cannot be done with the rest of the country. Rest of the country is not going to appreciate GHG emission language, right? But as a country, India every country has to, right? So that's why I feel that at a policy level, this energy efficiency initiatives, the language is converting, right? But the good part of it is that it will give leeway to the renewable energy opportunities, but not something will be changing very fundamental for energy efficiency. Right. I think some more questions have also come up.
Yeah. There are some other questions also.
Let's give time to all. Yeah.
Mr. Bishwajit Nath is asking how energy consumption can be minimized using smart plug in air conditioning.
See, I've seen some of the smart plugs is having a timer facility, right? So what happens is your AC gets switched off, right? So it can be done, but then this kind of facility is coming there in the ACs also, right? Wherein with a sleep facility you can switch off, right? So as I said that there are the opportunities, but then implementing this kind of a project at scale is way too difficult, right? How do you reach out to customer? That is a much bigger challenge, right? So B2B project of energy efficiency is another case, and B2C we did try to work on at a B2C level. Those who are having energy bills of 50,000 to let's say 3 lakh rupee per month, right? So the opportunities were very good. The payback period was also very fast because their tariff was higher. Right, they are all in commercial category, but the scale of project is so small that it is not feasible. The level of understanding of energy is so low that how do you convince it? It's very difficult to do that in B2C situation, right? Yeah, next please.
Yeah. So Mr. Brijesh is asking, does energy conservation enhance energy efficiency of the system? See, again, the same point we discussed on energy conservation and energy efficiency. So, for example, there is a oil-fired boiler, right, or a coal-fired boiler. You are converting that to briquette-fired boiler, right? So, it will, let's say, because of the fuel cost difference, it is going to save the energy cost, right? So, it will not come in I mean, you may not improve the energy efficiency. The energy efficiency it may still remain the same, right? But your cost difference will be way too huge, right? So you may still call it as an energy conservation project, right? But it may not be necessarily a energy efficiency improvement of the system. But again, my point is like, what is the ultimate benefit that you are delivering by calling it energy conservation or using energy efficiency or using energy management? That matters more than all these terminologies. Yeah, thank you. And now Mr. Ashok Sethuraman is saying, excellent energy dialogue session. Thank you, Mr. Milind, for showcasing your experience in energy efficiency case studies. So, Mr. Sethuraman, we are really happy that you like this session and hope we bring more and more such interesting conversations on every fourth Friday here onwards. Yeah. So request everyone to stay connected and keep yourself updated. And as usual, this recording of this session will also be available on our YouTube channel, AEEWI Western India. So thank you everyone for joining the session, and hope to see you all in future sessions also. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Milind.
Thank you, Gandhi sir, for your words, and thank you,
Thank you, Milind. I think it started
in my younger days. I do remember that.
Yeah.
In 2005, you conducted a very big program.
I told Bhavna Chittawar that I will attend today's interview. I just wanted to tell her that Milind's uncle, Mr. A.G. Chittawar, was my classmate in that book.
I didn't know that.
So nice. I think you also may not be knowing that.
No,
but from that onwards, I know Chittawar. So good luck to you, both of you.
Nice, thank you, sir. Yeah. Thank you very much, sir. Bye-bye. Bye, everyone.